Hi, my name is Tanya and welcome to my small backyard vegetable garden here in central Victoria. It's the 23rd of February. We have 1 week of summer left. There's a heap of jobs I want to get ticked off, some seeds I want to plant, some tomatoes I want to pull out, and this is what happens when you garden in a small space. You have to just keep things turning over, sacrificing things. It's difficult and it'd be nice to have all the space, but I certainly don't, and a lot of other people certainly don't. So I'm going to start by pruning these tomatoes. I planted these in amongst the strawberries and they've done really well. These were a couple of markdown tomatoes. They have fruit on them, but I'm cutting off a lot of leaf. We have another bout of hot days coming up, and I want to make sure that any energy is going into that fruit to ripen and grow and not these leaves. And as you could see before when I was cutting them, the leaves that I'm cutting off, the ones that I would cut off anyway, have started to go yellow. To me, it's a pretty good indication that the plant does not want them on there. I know that it's not because the plant is wanting water or food or for any other reason. So it's best to just get those leaves off and let it get on with the job of producing that fruit. While I'm here, I may as well make sure everything's tied up nice and tight. We have got a very windy day forecast today. I'm out early making sure everything is watered and secured before I head off to work. I thought I'd take you on a quick pumpkin update, and yes, the wire is bending. It's a bit of a hazard when you walk in here, you have to duck. They get heavier by the day, and there's 3 here now. It's a bit of a worry, but we have found one stake to hold up this end. There's 1.5 pumpkins on that wire, that end wire. And we've just got this stick with a little V shape at the end, and it's long enough to go down to the ground and just stabilize that wire. I've got some supplies here to build up the garden beds. They have sunk a fair bit. I was expecting that because I put thick biscuits of pea straw in when I was filling up the beds, and I'm going to save all these plants. I'm going to rehome the dianthus, and I'm going to take out, do some cuttings, and then I will replant the salvia. I'm going to start by picking all the green fruit. Maybe it will ripen on my kitchen bench. I'm hoping so. I'm just going to get the sprinkler on and get some moisture into the garden bed and let that settle. I picked these up the other day while I was visiting my mum. They are a green sprouting broccoli, bambino, and I'm pretty excited to get those in nice and early. They're good established plants, so fingers crossed. This is the Mizuna I planted, I think it was about 8 days ago. I've put a higher cover over it to keep protected from the birds, and I'm also adding some sun protection for the next few days. The salvia cuttings are just about ready to be repotted or planted out. Perfect timing, getting ready for the autumn. And let's have a look at the beets and carrots and onions. I'm really happy with how they're all growing and progressing. The onions did have a little bit of transplant and heat damage, but they seem to be growing fine, and I'm keeping everything well watered. There's a heap of leaves here I could come in and pick if I needed some leafy greens. And there are the onions, just a little bit of dryness on the ends, but that's to be expected with all the heat we've had. If anyone knows the name of this plant, please let me know in the comments. I bought it as a potted color and I would love to know what it's called. It is seeding and I really want to save some seeds. These big pots of tomatoes, although they're looking quite dry, they are in a very, very hot spot here. You can see Mrs. Possum's highway, little footprints everywhere. She wants to get down to them. Now, they are fruiting so well, the tomatoes and the capsicums, they're even doing well. And this is the one I have been waiting for. The traveler tomato. It is so close to being ready to get picked. I just cannot wait. It's the most amazing thing to look at. I can't wait to pick it and be breaking little tomatoes off. So it is netted for its own safety, and we've got some capsicums here. Look at the size of these capsicums on these tiny plants. These were the markdown plants. Now I'm going to move these broccoli over here. This is where they will be planted, and I'm going to just let them sit in their sources of water until tomorrow when it is a cooler day and I can get those planted in there and the soil has settled and we've got through this hot day. In the meantime, I'm going to get on and take some cuttings of this salvia and get that planted back in the ground. Taking cuttings is something I always love to do. It's minutes of your time, but you may end up with 3 extra plants or you could end up with 15. And not many people will say no to free plants. Now I've got an old terracotta pot. I've got some fly screen that I am going to put across the hole and some old broken terracotta. I put that in there for the drainage, and I'm going to get this all set up because they will be in there for a little while, depending on how fast they take root. Got a bit of a mix, a potting mix, and I've added a bit of cow manure and a bit of mushroom compost, and this is cocoa fibre. Just had a little bit in there just to try and hold the moisture because I don't want them drying out. They're to stay relatively damp. And then I will put the pot in a saucer. Just getting plenty of soil in the pot, or potting mix in the pot. Just keeping everything damp down. Now I did wash the pot down, but it was also to make sure there was dampness in the terracotta. You have dry terracotta and then you put potting mix, drier potting mix in there, and then everything is struggling. Just got to damp things down. Now this looks a little brutal, but we are just chopping it right back, just as you would if it was in the garden. It will help with it being transplanted, take off any dead leaves or yellowing leaves, and that doesn't look too bad. It will look sad after it's gone in the ground, but keep it moist and it should come back. Just get that in the ground. It's a little sooner than I'd rather be planting it with the broccoli, but it's better it be in there than be sitting in a tub of water. Now let's take a heap of cuttings. This is just exactly what I did with the other ones. Probably I did the other ones with less foliage, but we've got a good selection, lots here. I could probably take, I don't know, 50 cuttings from just this bit that I chopped off the top. Just clearing the base, clearing off a lot of leaves, leave a little bit there so that it can draw in energy and clear the base of the stem so that it's got no leaves on it so they won't rot, and stick them in the ground and keep the pot moist. Most will take, and I just think for an investment of 15 minutes, you could end up with 20 perennial plants that probably retail at $10 to $15 each, depending on the size. So I find it a good investment. I eventually would love to have these planted along the side of my glass house. I'm hoping that will go up over winter, but we'll wait and see. If not, I'll have the plants and I'll put them elsewhere and then shift them. That's the great thing about perennials. Now I've got all this plant matter. My pot is full of cuttings. I may sit this aside and do some more, or I just might get rid of it and be happy with the pots. Now I wanted to try these seed snails. I've been putting it off for weeks now. I've had the seed raising mix and I just thought, well, I'll just give it a go and see. I'm wanting to seed some rainbow chard and some purple sprouting broccoli, and I just do not have any room to fill a whole heap of pots with seeds. So this is my next option, and I thought it was a good chance to try it out, seeing I'm tight on space. I watched a few different YouTube videos and this is what they said. Some people love it, some people don't like it. I'm just open to having a try. So as far as I know, I did this correctly, but we'll wait and see. I mean, seeds just want to grow, don't they? You just got to have some damp soil for them. I'm just going to put the seed in. I'm going to sit them in a terracotta pot and then I'll put a little cover over it so the birds don't disrupt it. And I'm going to leave them in under this little pumpkin arch. It'll be nice and light, but protected from the sun, so it seems like a very good place. So what I plan to plant are some leeks, some purple sprouting broccoli, and of course the bright light silver beet. Now this first one, I thought the quickest and cheapest and probably the easiest thing to seed are going to be the silver beet. So I'm giving that a go first. And because it seeds so fast and self-seeds so easily, I'm going to try that, and if it doesn't, if they don't seed, then I can always quickly seed some more. And you've only really lost, I don't know, a week. So I've pushed down the soil. Like I said, this is the first time I've done this. I've only watched some videos. I've pushed down the soil, and then I've added a little bit more, put the seed in. Now I'm topping it up with a little bit of soil so the seed has contact, and then I'm going to keep it relatively damp with a little cover over it in a well-lit, warm, but not in direct sun spot, which is my growing greenhouse. I'm pretty excited about these. It's fantastic if they do work, and a great space saver. And I managed to seed the second purple sprouting broccoli and forgot to film it. So apologies for that, but it was the same process. Now I've found this Hessian at the op shop, and I always grab Hessian if I see it there. It was it was a brand new piece. It was $2, and I have them just for when I need them, and this was the perfect opportunity. I'm just putting a bit of extra protection over these little broccoli, and so they will stay nice and cool. They're in tiny pots, so we don't want them drying out. This is my capsicum. There's so much fruit there, and I'm going to pick that in the next video. Now the wind is picking up, and it is never a good thing when it's high winds and a top temperature of 35 degrees. There are the cuttings and the seeds that we just seeded, and Mrs. Possum enjoyed the tomatoes that I'd sat in the saucer for her the other day. But let's enjoy summer while it's here and eat fresh cherry tomatoes straight off the bush. They're warm from the heat in the air, and let's make the most of summer while it's here. This is another cucumber that I planted, and it's just starting to put cucumbers out now. And that's the pumpkin that rolled off the arch. The sun protection's on, and this beauty is waiting to be picked also.